So welcome to a special edition of Finding Love. We're going to be looking at some of our viral posts and some of your viral comments on those posts to talk about single parenting and co-parenting. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and keep it coming. We love your topics.
Make me feel complete. Is OD, you got me, is OD. Baby, you're all that I need. No one can be what you mean to me. Boy, I know you need this.
So we're going to dive into our co-parenting videos that have gone at least semi-viral. Some of these have over a couple million views. Some of these have a few 100,000 views. We wanted to look at these videos with you all and comment on some of the comments so we can provide more clarity and context. And let's keep the conversation going so that we can make sure everybody comes to a common ground, because what we've also seen in some of these comments is quite a bit of confusion. So, wifey, let's dive into it.
All right.
I often see that they have no support. It is just them. If they are taking the time out of their day to, instead of having a girls' night or instead of sleeping and getting some rest, take an evening to coordinate their child, coordinate homework, coordinate bedtime for a babysitter, just to step out to go on a date with you, you have to appreciate everything that was done that you didn't even see that she did. All right, so let me read one comment right here. Big homie, this is a two-way street. It's plenty of single dads doing it alone with no support who got to do the same thing she did. So the reason I want to address this is for those of you who do not know, I was a single dad for 8 years until I met my soon-to-be wife. And we got married 3 years later when my son was 11. So nobody empathizes more with single dads than me. You can check post podcast, you can check post, and you can see that I am here for my single fathers. But that does not mean that I don't appreciate a single mom that's doing her thing. Because what I also understand is that most single fathers have a co-parent in which they're splitting some type of time. Similar to me, I split 50-50 time. So I was still able to drop off my child and pursue this relationship. I did have limited time to do it, but I did have some level of time. Now, that's not the standard for every single father, but it is the standard for most single fathers. And so on the flip side, I see more single mothers that do not have support. And so I was simply giving flowers and a spotlight to single mothers because I can appreciate them even while I appreciate single fathers.
I also think that this post could have said single parent, because as the person who didn't have the kids, I did have to consider his time. So it could absolutely be single parents. But to the mothers, we got 2 comments that were on the same lines. Most men don't even think this far. And then I've only had one man ever in his life consider my child when asking me out on a date. He offered to arrange the sitter. He actually paid my mother, made the plans, and did all the driving. He was a great guy. Both of those lets me know that is a lot of people not considering all the things that they gotta do, right? And just getting a babysitter alone is a huge feat, okay? And so when you are thinking about, is this person worth it enough to take on a date and pursue in this relationship, you have to be thinking about how much they have to do just to come on this date.
That's right.
And that's just something that we just want to make known. When you are dating a single parent, it's levels to this thing. And it cannot be, well, you got to figure that out. That's your kid. Okay. Don't date that person, all right?
Also, appreciating a single mother's time, it doesn't mean that we don't appreciate your time or that we're asking the single mother to not appreciate your time.
Right.
There can be mutual appreciation and mutual understanding and mutual grace and gratitude. But it's okay for us to also shine light on the things that people have to go through.
Yes. Here's another comment.
That's a good one.
The amount of effort, time, money, coordination, moving around moms have to do, even to get one free night a month, is insane. That's why, as a mom, it's easier to just not date or just stay with the dad, because the dating while being a single mom with zero support is hell. Then the guy understandably wants to see you multiple times a week. It's impossible, which makes you feel so helpless and overwhelmed that you just ghost. This one hit so hard because I know single mothers who did stop dating, right? As a protection of their child, your child can't go on every date, right? So you have to choose them over your own needs. So it is easier to not date, right? I got this kid all the time when we gonna go somewhere. And I empathize with this woman so much because I know for a fact as a mother, even us dating as husband and wife can come second to our children.
Yeah.
So it is so important that you know and you understand now that when you are pursuing a relationship with a single parent, you have to do so in a way that is so intentional, so forward, so intentional of the needs of this other person that you don't get lost in, but what they doing for me, or how is this my fault, or whatever, okay? You have to make the choice the moment you thought they looked fine, the moment that you had a conversation with them, that this person is worth at least seeing if this can go somewhere, which is more intentionality than you have to do with anybody else. Because you can go on a first date with anybody, right? People free. All right, we going on the first date. Oh, I see if I like you or not. But before you even take that single person on a first date, you have to qualify.
Yeah.
Am I ready to put the same amount of intention into this relationship that is necessary for them to still flourish as a parent?
And I appreciate her transparency, but it is also a sad truth for so many single moms. What I hear in her comment is somebody who is also settling. She's choosing her children or she's choosing her child, but she's settling for what she believes is available to her instead of getting her full worth. And I see so many single mothers and single parents get fatigued by doing so much that they do settle. And they find themselves in a long-term in and out relationship with the other co-parent that wasn't healthy from the beginning and isn't healthy now. And they have a difficult time finding happiness for themselves, even though they're trying to pour in and create happiness for their children.
Now this comment, it makes me feel the need to let you know why we even started this podcast, okay? We are spreading love, awareness that marriage is dope, trying to help people seek and motivation in their self-worth as they enter the dating phase. We're doing everything out of positivity. So when you guys are like, but what if this or who that? It's like, you're not listening to us.
And we never usually address trollers, but we're going to address this one.
They have their own feelings and we understand. But he says, it's not my fault if you're a single mom who had a baby with a deadbeat. Okay, that just threw me off already. But most men who are interested in a woman with kids and a deadbeat baby daddy already understand what they're getting into. So they are already pretty understanding. And if you're a single mom who chooses to get back in the dating world, it's your obligation to make the time since you chose to get back out there. Y'all should be more appreciative of the men without kids who take on the responsibility of another man's kids. The men who aren't understanding wouldn't even look the way of a single mother.
You want to take this? Or you want me to take this?
That's first. But the tone and connotation behind this message is saying that single moms don't deserve to date.
That's right.
I couldn't disagree more. Everyone deserves love. And everyone has made a mistake.
That's right.
You don't know how every single woman got into this situation with being a single mother.
That's right.
I have someone whose child's father died before she was born. You're telling me that she doesn't deserve to date or that she better make accommodations to date somebody like you? First of all, you have so many insecurities and they are showing and they're screaming loud and clear. Because guess what? You are saying that you probably already dated somebody who was a single mom and she didn't appreciate you the way that she needed to, right? She didn't love on you or she didn't even love you back. You loved her and now you are angry. This is what this is screaming to me. And I don't know if this is the real situation, but I'm saying that someone who's so butthurt over somebody else's situation is typically because they've been in something similar and it didn't show out the way that they wanted it to. Be being mindful of what someone has going on does not mean that you are weak, or it doesn't mean that you are giving more to a relationship than what you expect to be reciprocated. It does mean that you are intentionally thinking about all of the things as it relates to this other person before getting into a relationship. This person, okay, sir, don't date a single mom, right? And I ain't look at this page, but I bet you got a couple kids. Yeah, I don't know why. I just feel like you got a couple. But it is okay to have the standard of saying, I don't want somebody else's kids, or I don't really want a baby mama or a baby daddy in my life. And that's fine. I'm not talking to you. We're not talking to you. We're talking to the people who are open to loving and supporting a person who is a single parent.
And one thing that I always have to do is I always lead in love. But what we cannot
I'm ready to
allow,
fight. I'm sorry.
yeah, but what we can't allow is for the loudest guy in the room or the loudest guy in the comments to create the narrative for all men and how all men feel about you. Because the reality is that sometimes the men that just sit back and pay attention to you, they value you the most anyway. So please, what I've also seen in these comments are so many single women that feel that lack of appreciation because of comments like this and the loudest guy in the comments. And they believe that that is how we feel about you. But the reality is that we see you and we just don't want that trauma spilling over into a new relationship with you as we try to just take you out to dinner. We don't want this narrative to be carried in to our courtship, because the right guy that's for you, the right guy that's willing to lead you and that is going to make plans for you, he needs to make sure that you are emotionally available to him and you're going to give him a clean slate. So I have to say, don't allow the loudest guy in the comments and the loudest guy in the room to create a distraction away from what you deserve in obtaining everything that you're worthy to get.
I think it's also just one important note before we move on to the next video. To, as a bonus mom and as someone who came into the relationship with no children, I do have to say this to single parents. It is a lot. It is a lot. It's a lot being thrown into a semi-parenting role. It's a lot to support them through whatever they got going on, but still keep the boundary of that's your situation, right? It's a lot to become one with an additional person on top of the relationship that you're trying to build with your spouse. It is a lot, but it is not a burden. And I think that a lot of single parents feel like this child is a burden or this child is blocking me from my blessing. No, this child is protecting you. Because if I didn't love the way that I love, I would have never been able to make this work, right? And the way that I loved is spilled over to our child. It's spilled over to everybody that's attached to our child. It was overflowing. And so instead of dating someone who's like, I'm the prize, princess man, okay? You are dating someone who knows what they're getting into. They knows the responsibility that it will bear, and they have an overflow of love. So don't think of it as a burden. Think of it as protection.
That's good.
Let's go to this next post. He's showing me pictures in his iPad, and it's pictures of him in a suit. And I'm like, oh man, you look so handsome.
Yeah.
I'm like, where were you? I was at my mom and dad's wedding.
I didn't get that memo.
You was, okay. Well, can I see the pictures of the bride and groom? Oh, they must not be in here. They just got pictures of me from the wedding. I was like, oh wow, I didn't know they were married. He was like, yeah, they got married. It was a big wedding. We was all there.
Oh, wait.
Angelica is what I called him for a very long time, because in front of Steve, he was, oh, is Jenni coming with us to get ice cream? And then Steve walked away, he like, you still here? I was like, oh. But I understood him too. I understood that he loved his parents.
Yeah.
And when you love both parents, you naturally want them to be together. So this was me being vulnerable and telling y'all about my bonus mom chronicles. And on Facebook, it got what?
2 million views.
Over 2 million views.
Yeah.
And Instagram, another 800,000 or so, right? Wow. And everybody was all over the place. Y'all love to comment without context. Y'all don't even listen to the podcast. That's just a clip.
But shout out to this comment that got over 7,000 likes for breaking it down and provide clarity and context for everybody else.
This my girl.
Shout
she don't
out
even know.
Jasmine.
But she said, okay, let's break it down if you're confused. The lady was dating the man who was also in the video sitting next to her. He has a son. She was hanging out with his son. The son was showing her pictures of himself dressed up in a suit. He told her he was dressed up because his parents were or had gotten married. The man in the video says he missed that memo because he indeed never married his son's mom. Also was not presently married to her either, because a lot of people was like, they married you, homemaker. Okay. The lady says she called the son Angelica for years because if you're familiar with the Rugrats show, she always acted mean to the kids, but was nice in front of the parents. So she called him Angelica because he would be asking his dad if they were going to hang out with her, as if he liked her. All the while he was being mean to her, wondering why she was still around. She says she understood why the son was behaving that way towards her. He wanted his parents to go back together. Fast forward, it seems her patience paid off, as it looks like they're married now. Yes, we are.
She got it. She got it.
She watched it and broke it down with such clarity. Yes, everything she said was on point. Yes. I shared that story to let people know that it will not be all butterflies and rainbows. Right. However, if you can empathize and you can put that child first, you will get out of your own way. Right. Because for me, selfishly, I would have been like, oh, no. That's right. Little Angelica is not the one, okay? And maybe I shouldn't pursue this anymore. But because I know, because I was a child before, right? What child doesn't want their parents together? And I was posing a threat from that becoming a reality. Right. So I know that this is a child trying to deal with big, big feelings. That's right. Those are big grown-up and mature feelings of separation of a family, right? Mm-hmm. Even if it was romanticized in his own mind, I understand that. So when he was showing up as Angelica, it was kind of cracking me up. But it was also the beginning of what flourished into a beautiful relationship with my son. Because guess what? He knew I wasn't running. He knew I was going to be there. And I showed him that I was going to be there not only for my husband, but for him, no matter how bad he acted. My love for him was not based on performance. It wasn't based on how great of a kid he was, or how cute he was, or how smart he was. It was based simply on, you're my child, boy. Yeah. So, I urge you to think about that when going into these co-parenting situations. You are a bonus. Yeah. You're not replacing anybody. You're not the new mama. You're not the new daddy. They don't have to call you mama or daddy. People be crazy. Yeah. But you are a liaison. You are a safe place. You are a listening ear. You are going to be maybe even somewhat of a provider for this child. So assume that responsibility with care. And you can call him Angelica if you want to. That's my son. I call him what I want to.
And the beautiful thing about this moment and reflecting on that as a single parent is that if you see the video, I was surprised because guess what? She didn't even tell me about that story when we were dating because I had the privilege of dating somebody who was protecting my son in that moment. And the other beautiful part about that is, guess what? Even though that messed her up then, we can laugh about it because 11 years later, now they thick as thieves. They tight. And the dynamic she brought to both parents as a result of her relationship to my son was total beneficial. And so we have that moment, that viral post that had all these comments, some supportive, some funny, some not even understanding what was going on, but it's just a part of our story. And the co-parents that know, they know. And so we got a lot of feedback on this, and it's just something we're going to continue to share. So moving on to the next one.
All right, let's
All
go.
right, cool. If you're not in a place where you have like the dopest co-parent in the world, I hear that a lot of people do not. You have to be able to operate in a space where, okay, the pickup and drop off is here. What else do we need to discuss? Here's the schedule for their soccer season, okay?
Right.
Like, here it is. And there's no going in and out with somebody that is not consistent as a co-parent. Right. A consistent good co-parent, we're not talking about that person. We're talking about somebody who can take your energy, shift it around. That's a very challenging thing. Yeah. And so all that you can do is have your structure, have your organization, but you have to limit their access to you. You have to limit it.
So this person says, this. I say nothing. You can read. I'm not a secretary. I'm not waiting. I'm at the place I'm supposed to be at the time and you don't get there or make arrangements to make sure you get your child. My day goes forward. I don't text or call to see where a person is. I don't send pictures, do FaceTimes, phone calls, nothing. You don't take advantage of the time you get with your child, then you don't get to interfere with mine. And listen, I know somebody is like, ooh, she bitter. And guess what I say? She is empowered. Yeah. She is taking full control of her single life and her own personal maintenance. And we talked about this because we were trying to just see what went wrong. Like, what happened? What could we have addressed earlier? And it was that separation. Yeah. You know, like a last commenter said, you know, it's easier. It is so convenient for that other person to just be like, hey, I'm about to pull up with some food, right? Or, hey, I can't get man from school today, can you? That's right. And if you ain't got nothing to do, it's so easy to say, yeah, I got him. But guess what? When you are trying to enter into this new journey, new season of life where you are a good co-parent that is about to go back into the dating world, it is imperative that you set some very clear boundaries. Now, she might take it another step forward and be like, why you texting me, you know? Yeah. But if you have to call this kid because the kid isn't old enough to have a phone or an iPad yet through her, set the time. Hey, every day at 7 p.m., is it okay if I call and say goodnight to our child? Have that set. That's one conversation. Boom. And then at 7 o'clock, the kid picks up the phone. You know what I'm saying? And I think that those clear-cut boundaries is one of the things that the messiest co-parent relationships come because of a lack of.
Yeah. This is a if you know, you know. Mm-hmm. Because co-parenting should be simultaneous with boundaries. Mm-hmm. So much of the reason we have difficulties in co-parenting is because the lack of boundaries or the limited boundaries or trying to implement them later than sooner. And so when you look at this post and we talk about the structure and organization that we're trying to implement, it's so critical because another co-parent, it's usually one co-parent that is going to try to push the other one's buttons. And this disrupts everything. This disrupts your relationship with, if you're trying to pursue somebody else, but most importantly, it disrupts the cadence of raising the child.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most important things. And one of the things we talked about is so many co-parents should establish separation and rules early on in the relationship. But what happens so often is that boundaries don't try to get implemented unless somebody's trying to move on.
Very true.
And that's where drama can happen. That's where bitter co-parents can happen.
Yeah.
And so I would urge anybody that understands this relationship is not going to work, try to separate sooner, because your person could be waiting for you. But it's going to be that much harder because most of the time the separation starts too late, where you might see a person of interest or you might start dating somebody and then you try to create this separation. And guess what happens there? So much drama. And I've seen relationships get derailed by that, where you might have missed out on your person because you allowed this conflict and confusion to come mess with what you deserve this whole time. But because we didn't create enough separation earlier on in the relationship, now we're paying for it later on in this relationship. And so what I hear in this person is that she's established her boundaries and she is not playing with them. I would rather have somebody do that in a co-parenting relationship than somebody playing with them boundaries. Somebody putting an invisible line that they're habitually stepping over anyway.
All right, so this is another one. It says narrow, emails only, 2.5 years, every other week, share joint legal, pick up and drop offs through the school only. If it falls on his week for doctor or dentist appointments, do your physical joint part. I haven't seen him approximately 3 years, which has been amazing. I created this structure absolutely, no access to me, only the child. This again shows me a woman who knows how to protect herself, but is not trying to eliminate access to his child, right? And this goes to the whole thing that I don't think a lot of people think about. When you, as a woman, are growing a child inside of you, you are growing a love for this child, but you are also growing and romanticizing a love for this person that you created this child with, a love of what this child is going to look like, what parts of you is it going to have, what parts of me it's going to have. So even if you weren't in a relationship, this bond through nurturing and growing this child inside of you is kind of making the bond with that person a little stronger, right? So even if you weren't with this person, there is a complete sort of breakup that happens. There is a separation that is jarring if that other person that you're co-parenting with is no longer in a relationship with you or wanting to be in a relationship with you, okay? So you're going through this heartache and you can't just block them. You can't just delete all the pictures off your page and act like it never happened because you have a child. So if you already know you're an emotional person and you already know that your feelings for this person run deep, or that this heartache is just too hard to bear, so I can't see you because you're still fine even if I hate you. You still smell good even if I don't want to talk to you anymore. Creating these boundaries and this separation will protect you from being jaded and hurt and bitter and drama filled. It will protect you in being able to have a conversation with your child in a good light about their father or about their mother, right? But if you got to see this person, you see they smug look, you see them elevating to a level that they never elevated with you, you see them dating somebody else and that girl, she a little cute, all of that will have you jaded in ways that are easily eliminated if you set those clear boundaries early on. Hey, I can't see you.
That's right.
And that is a real grown-up, mature response to, I'm dealing with heartache. I'm dealing with any idea of us being a family being diminished. I have to protect me and make sure that I have peace in my household so that I can co-parent to the best of my abilities.
Yeah. And these boundaries are set in place to protect your peace. to protect your child, protect yourself, and protect your potential new relationship.
Yes.
Because I promise you, if you do not set these firm boundaries, you will find yourself stuck for years and years and years going to the cadence of that co-parent's beat. And in essence, they're controlling your tone. They're controlling your mood. So I urge any co-parent that has not set the boundaries in place, you have to set your boundaries, because your boundaries are your protection and your child's protection and your future's protection.
And it's also important to note that there aren't many conversations that you have to have. Your house is your house.
Right.
I can't dictate what's going on over there. I can't tell you, when bedtime is, or when he's supposed to do this chore, or when she's supposed to. I can't do that. That's your house. Look, I just got to deal with it. I chose to have a baby with you. I'm hoping that you're doing the right thing, but I can't dictate on anything over there, and vice versa. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? I mean, if something happens on your day, that's your financial responsibility. Guess what? And if it's a disconnect in finances, you probably already went to court and got your little check on that anyway. So use that money towards what just came up. There's nothing really big to discuss. Yes, if you are in a healthy co-parenting relationship, yes, you are communicating when it's time to discipline that child, right? Or what do you think about this school? Or making those type of decisions together. But if you are not, and you know you're not, and you know that you gonna be the one to pop off real quick, it is what it is.
And it's probably why you're watching this podcast. But we locked in with you.
We are.
We part of your community. We're going to do this together. We've been there.
All right, so this is the last video. Let's see what this one is talking about. Men like to brag. And a man that's keeping you close to the vest and ain't talking about you and won't go to certain events with you, won't post pictures with you, all of that stuff, I'm going to go on a limb and say he ain't all the way about you. And if you already taking care of his kid, and I'm going to say pump your brakes, okay? Because that reassurance that we in this thing together was very necessary in the very beginning.
And I'm going to read 2 comments back to back, and I'm going to dive right into it. Women always think they know men and don't even know themselves. Men do this regardless of kids or not. And so much of these comments of, I think it was close to 400 comments on Facebook, was this. Men in support, men that didn't. But let me tell you from a man's perspective that before you find the one, you would never agree with this, because no woman has been worth it to you. But let me tell you, and let me enlighten you, that when you do find the one, when you find a woman that is worthy of your time and appreciation, then you do like to brag. Because so much of a man's flex is his woman. She is so much of your flex that when you step into your room, other people judge you based on her. Other people let you into additional rooms based on her. And so if you have a woman, if you found the one, then you understand that men do like to brag. Men do like to flex. But I also understand the men that say, oh, she don't know what she talking about. She don't get it. Because I've been there. I've played the game of dating for so many years, and I never found anybody to make me feel like that until you find somebody to make you feel like that.
And I agree. I can't stand when I see a woman saying this is what men need, or this is what they want, this is what they like. And I can't stand a man trying to dissect our mentality. However, this is something that is clear.
Yeah.
We all know that a lot of men, I mean, just going back to Shallow Hal, right? That was such a good movie because it was real. Yeah. A lot of men see the physical first. It is a lot of humans, but men especially, right? And a part of I am what you like is because you know other people want her.
That's right.
You don't want somebody don't nobody want, right? And I am just a firm believer that a man who is choosing to say, I just keep my personal life personal.
Yeah.
Or, I ain't really big on all these social networks and all of that stuff. Okay, maybe he doesn't post you, but he's taking you to the events. He's inviting you to meet his friends and family. He is showing up hand in hand, parading you around anybody who is willing to look. You will feel the security and reassurance in a man who wants you and values you and wants to see a potential future with you. That man is not trying to hide you. That man is not keeping you, to the house or only on Netflix and chill. He wants to be seen with you. His stock goes up because of you. What you are wearing, how you are carrying yourself is a representation of the type of woman and the caliber of man he is. A lot of men won't even do business with a man who ain't got no wife. You can't get one person to rock with you. How you gonna get me and my whole resources to rock with you? And then even on what? Club Shay Shay, David Banner, who I didn't know that was David Banner. Okay. But he even said that his mentor told him to never do business with a man who cheats on his wife. And that was a reflection of, you can't keep it, hold it down in the bedroom in your household. How you gonna be loyal to me as a business partner? And all of that, all of these things just speak to how important your spouse is to you as a man. So any man talking about she don't know what she talking about, yes, I do.
This is just a snapshot into a deeper conversation, but all wifey was doing here was looking out for the women that are pursuing relationships with single dads.
Yes.
And so this was true. And what she also said was, hey, maybe if he doesn't post, he doesn't post. But guys that do a normal posting, if they post a lot, then they should be posting you. If they're going out, then they should also be taking you out. So this right here was a snapshot, but it was so true.
Let's toast. So I want to toast to everyone who watches, who listens, who comments, who likes. We love you. We are enjoying every minute of this. We are empowered by giving you the tools and the self-awareness to have a different perception of dating and marriage. And we just encourage you to continue to tap in with us. Cheers.
We are finally here at season 2, and we could not have done it without any of you.
We're talking all stages of relationships, from dating to courting to marriage to reaching that forever status.
We are bringing all the true stories to the forefront, and guess what? This year we're coming back bigger, better, and stronger, and it's all because of all of you.
So stay tuned for what we're going to do next. We are on all platforms at I Am Finding Love, and be sure to subscribe to our website at IamFindingLove.com.
And do not forget, tune in each and every Friday as you keep asking us questions and we keep delivering the answers.
Baby, you're all that I need. No, I can't be what you mean to me. Make me feel complete.